trying to find the way to walk. Lord, I humble myself before thee. I don't want to be lost. I've been taught to search the scriptures and read the word of truth. Like you said, just like you promised, I'll be just like you. How can you hear to believe? Take the time out just to read. You will find that you've been wrong. Jesus is coming to his home to take his rest in Zion. You won't get to heaven. No, 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 no. Then I know it's true. 'Cause I'm ready. Hey, all you got to do is just receive it. Hey. Open up your Bible.
Hello, and welcome to The Bible Speaks, where our interpretation is expressly prohibited. This is the third part of the leadership series, which included Man of the House, Virtuous Woman, and now Marriage Counseling. But I had to break this up into two parts because I had to deal with what marriage is, and then we can deal with the marriage counseling. So this is Marriage Counseling Part 1. And this Part 1 was the original lesson that started this series, because I just kept hearing things out in the world and everywhere where people were either doing things they shouldn't be doing as becoming servants of God. Now, this lesson is for servants of God. So if you're not a servant of God, you can do whatever you want to do. But as pertaining to servants of God, here's the behavior that you should have and that we all should have. So I was hearing things about people having friends with benefits and doing such things that's unbecoming of a servant of God. So we're going to start this lesson off right where we started the other ones off, right at the start of my leadership series that the Lord calls to put on my heart, right in Ephesians, the 5th chapter. So we're going to go right to Ephesians, the 5th chapter, and when you're ready, Vernon, go ahead and read. Go ahead.
Be ye therefore followers of God as dear children, and walk in love as Christ also hath loved us, and hath given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becometh saints.
Now you see that? It said fornication and uncleanness and covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becoming saints. So that saints means to be sanctified or set apart. So that sets apart the servant of God from the non-servant of God. And that's what we're dealing with today. I want you to skip right down to verse 10. Go ahead.
Proving what is acceptable unto the Lord.
You see, so as a servant of God, we have to prove what's acceptable to the Lord. We don't worry about what the other people do. Other people can do what they want to do. But as servants of God, we got to prove what's acceptable to the Lord. This whole part right here will ring its way through the whole lesson. Let's skip down to verse 15. Go ahead.
See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise.
So to do this is to be wise. Walk circumspectly. Pay attention to what's going on around you, but not as fools, but as wise. So to follow this is to be wise. Go ahead.
Redeeming the time, because the days are evil.
Because these days are evil. So that's the reason you have to walk circumspectly. You got to pay attention because right now these times are evil. Keep going.
Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is.
Skip on down to verse 21. Go ahead.
Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord.
So you see that? So he's telling them, first he says, be ye not unwise. What he's telling you is wisdom. So he tells them, hey, submit yourselves one to another in the fear of the Lord. And then he says right away, wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands. So if you're a wife, you have to submit yourself to your husband if you want this thing to work. Because this is what God ordained, right? Keep going.
For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
I didn't write that. Vernon said that, right? That in everything. So if you say, well, if he's not telling you to do anything that's unbecoming of a servant of God, then you have to do it. It says, submit yourself to everything, because why? It says, for the husband is the head of the wife, as unto Christ is the head of the church. So what could the church tell Christ? I'm not doing that. You can't do that. So you got to see what pattern you're following. The church that tell Christ that they don't do that, that's the whore that sits upon many waters. So either you're going to be like that or you're going to be like the church of God. That's how it goes. Keep going.
25. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it.
So as we spoke about a man in the house, if you really going to love your wife, you're going to call yourself the head of something, you need to be able to give yourself for it. And that means give all of you. That means give your whole mind too. Not just your fit. Well, I go to work. So is that all Christ did for you? He did a lot of things for us. Not only did he just take care of us, he saved our whole life. Are you willing to save the whole life for your family? Are you willing to give up your life, the things that you want to do, so you can make sure the family can have and do and have the things that they need to have? Your wife got the time she needs to have with you. Keep going.
Skip down to 28.
28, go ahead.
So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself.
Now, you see that? You need to love your wife as your own body, because he that loveth his wife loveth himself. And we're going to see exactly why. Because he did something different with you. Go ahead.
33.
33, go ahead.
Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband.
So that's really the whole thing in a nutshell when it comes to counseling. That every husband or every head, you love your wife as your own body, and the wife, you reverence your husband. And it will work, because this is how the Lord set it up. And we're going to see just how he set it up. Let's go to Genesis 1 and 24 and bring this man about and bring this marriage about. Genesis 1 and 24. You ready? Go ahead.
And God said, let the earth bring forth a living creature after his kind, cattle, and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good.
So God made all these animals and everything after their kind, right? So he had to make the male and the female, right? Yes. After their kind. And they went on, and God saw that it was good. Keep going.
And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Okay, so now when God decided to make this man, he said, let him make him in our image. So you're supposed to be in the image of God. So he said, let him make him in our image and give him dominion over all this other stuff that I just created. So I created him to dominate. I created him to rule. Or is it him that I created? Keep going.
So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them.
Oh, male and female created he them. So he created them together, unlike the animals where he had the male and female there. But he created this one being, male and female. He created them. Keep going. Where are we?
28.
Keep going.
And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat.
So now he set the whole table for man. He gave him every herb, everything is already in the ground. It's set for man, for him to subdue and to work it. And also, all the animals are for man, for him to subdue them, to do whatever he wants to them, because he made man in his own image. So if you God and you making something in your own image, in your own likeness, you making something that's like you. So God dominates, so he want man to dominate. But they got to do this together, because it said he created them. Keep going.
And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat, and it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day.
So on that sixth day, he did all that for man and saw that it was very good, right? Well, let's go to Genesis 2 and 18. 2 and 18. Notice the difference that he made them together as opposed to like he did the animals. This is a big significance, because remember he said, he that loveth his wife loveth himself, because he created them as one. So it being that it's one, your wife is the other part of you. She is a direct extension of you. So let's bring this woman forth. Genesis 2:18. Go ahead.
And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an help meet for him.
So when he was there, it was alone. The woman was just inside, right? Because he was alone. He said, he brought keep going, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found an help meet for him.
You see that? So God saw, man, this man is alone by himself. So when you think about, should you be with somebody? God said it wasn't good for him to be alone, right? Some people can do it for the kingdom. But, hey, he said, in this case, he's brought everything before him, and he still was alone. He still was by himself. He didn't find nobody that was a help, that was a good assistance for him, right? Keep going.
And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man.
Now, wait a minute. Did he do that with the animals? No. He did. He said that he done did anesthesia on Adam, put him to sleep, cut him up, took the rib out, and made a woman. So do you think God just didn't have enough power that he couldn't just dig another woman out the ground and make it? No, he was giving man a point that you are not an animal. So if you notice what animals do, you can have an animal, have a baby, the baby could turn around and sleep with the mother, or do this and do that, or the father could sleep with the daughter, or anything. It's just male and female. It does not matter. But with man, it matters, because this person is a part of you. So he or she can't go around doing all this, because this person is a part of you. You wouldn't do this to yourself. So when it comes to doing all this, that's why he said, as becoming saints, fornication and all this uncleanness should not be named among you, because you are not an animal. He made you in his image, so you're supposed to be trying to be like God, but yet you being like an animal. So you got to think about that when you're making these decisions as becoming saints. You ready? Where are we?
23.
Keep going.
And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
You see that? They shall be one flesh. They back together again. So just like they came, they back like this is how it's supposed to work. That's why he said, hey, you're supposed to protect her and give yourself for her, and she's supposed to reverence you. This is how it's supposed to work, right? This is the teamwork, because you came together, you're going to ride together, right? Finish that last thing.
And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed.
So they were naked now, but they were not ashamed, because no sin had taken place. But we're going to go right to Genesis 4. So we're supposed to be trying to be like God and becoming saints, but yet I'm hearing all this stuff while people acting like animals. That's the difference. You going to serve God, or you going to be like an animal? Let's go to Genesis 4. Genesis 4. Genesis 4, and we're going to start at verse 1. Go ahead.
And Adam knew his wife, and she conceived, and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord.
Oh, hold up. You remember back in Genesis 2:25, he said they were naked, the man and his what? His wife. He was married to her before he ever went into her. So the marriage was the contract. And guess what? He didn't get her for free either. He followed the same pattern that he going to give man to follow. He had to pay something for her. He had to pay the dowry of his own rib. He had to give of himself to have her, right? And pay it to her father, which is God. And we're going to see that same pattern. The Lord doesn't change. He sets it up the same way every time. Let's go to Genesis 4:1. Go ahead.
And Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord.
So now he just knew his wife. Every time you're going to see, they knew their wife. So they was already their wife before they went in and knew her. We're going to check that out. Let's go to verse 17. Go ahead.
And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch.
Now you see that? It's the same thing again. He knew his wife. They was already married before he knew. Now let's go to 19. We're going to have to deal a little bit with this. 19, go ahead.
And Lamech took unto him 2 wives.
Now he got 2 wives. Now this is the first time I saw 2 wives. Evidently, the Lord made it where both shall be together, but he must have just okayed this too for the nation, for being in the area that they were in. That was okay at this time. This is the beginning of time, right? Keep going.
And Lamech took unto him 2 wives. The name of the one was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah.
Okay, let's go to Genesis 24. And look at the model. Because see, just like we had in Man of the House, we had a model with Moses. Just like we had in Virtuous Woman, we had a model with Sarah. So we're going to look at a model couple just because the Lord always give you something that you can pattern after, right? So let's look at this model of how you're supposed to do it as becoming saints. Genesis 24, and we're going to start at verse 1. So this is the model for marriage, 24 and 1. Go ahead.
And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house, that ruled over all that he had, Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell.
So you see that? So now Abraham is telling his servant, hey, I want you to go get a wife for my son, but you better swear to me that you don't take her from the Canaanites. I want you to go get her from my people, right? Go ahead.
But thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. And the servant said unto him, Peradventure the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land. Must I needs bring thy son again unto the land from whence thou camest?
So the servant worried about, what if I go back to your land, right? And find out that, hey, she don't want to come back with me. Now, you notice this is about Isaac. Remember, Isaac was the son of the covenant that, if you look on Virtuous Woman, was the son that Sarah bore, right? That said was going to be heir. And because she did that, he became heir, and we were able to become heir to the throne because of Christ, through Isaac, right? So this is that son. So Abraham does not want him to just get a son from anywhere. He wants him to get a son from among his people. It's important. Go ahead.
And Abraham said unto him, Beware that thou bring not my son thither again. The Lord God of heaven, which took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and which spake unto me, and that sware unto me, saying, Unto thy seed will I give this land. He shall send his angel before thee, and thou shalt take a wife unto my son from thence.
So now he's going to go get a wife for Isaac, right? And the Lord God is with him. So go down, we're going to skip to verse 45, and we're going to find this wife for Isaac, all right? Go ahead.
And before I had done speaking in mine heart, behold, Rebekah came forth with her pitcher on her shoulder.
So this guy, his servant, has started praying to say, hey, the Lord God of Abraham, please send me the right person. This person do these certain things. This person is the right person, right? So here come Rebekah. Go ahead.
And she went down unto the well, and drew water. And I said unto her, Let me drink, I pray thee. And she made haste, and let down her pitcher from her shoulder, and said, Drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. So I drank, and she made the camels drink also. And I asked her and said, Whose daughter art thou?
Whoa, he said, whose daughter are you? Right? So she's doing all the right thing. Why he just didn't take her and say, hey, do you want to come with me? He said, whose daughter are you? Go ahead.
And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bare unto him. And I put the earring upon her face and the bracelets upon her hands.
So when he found out who she was, he knew that she was out of Abraham's father, Nahor, Abraham's brother, Nahor, and he went on and put the ring on it. Where are we, 47?
Yeah.
Skip to 49. Go ahead.
And now, if you will deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me. And if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left.
So he had asked him, hey, if he was running down to them the story of how he met his daughter Rebekah, right? And he said, hey, if you will deal kindly to my master, tell me so I can let my master know that I tried to get someone. Go ahead. Where are we?
50.
Go ahead.
Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, The thing proceedeth from the Lord. We cannot speak unto thee bad or good. Behold, Rebekah is before thee. Take her and go, and let her be thy master's son's wife, as the Lord has spoken.
So he had to ask the father. They didn't even ask Rebekah. He had to ask the father, because if you go and just sleep with a woman, you are taking something from her father. So he had to ask the father, and Laban is there too as her brother he was pretty, like a sort of a busybody, just kind of in the business. And they both agree, hey, take her, right? Go ahead.
52. And it came to pass that when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshiped the Lord, bowing himself to the earth. And the servant brought forth jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, and gave them to Rebekah. He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things.
Oh, so he had to bring something. He had to give something. It seemed like the pattern is the same, that he had to pay the same dowry to the father and say, hey, and to the family, say, hey, I can't just take her for free. She's your daughter, right? Keep going.
And they did eat and drink, he and the men that were with him, and tarried all night. And they rose up in the morning, and he said, send me away unto my master. And her brother and her mother said, let the damsel abide with us a few days, at the least 10. After that she shall go.
So he said, hey, send me to my master. I got to go back to his son and give him his wife. He say, hey, let us stay with him 10 days. All right, and let's see what they say. Keep going.
And he said unto them, hinder me not, seeing the Lord hath prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, we will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth. And they called Rebekah and said unto her, wilt thou go with this man? And she said, I will go.
Now, this is the first time they asked Rebekah. This is the first time she even got to say so, and whether they say, okay, well, at least let's ask her this, right? So they want to know if she's willing to go. She said, yeah, I'm ready to go now. Go to 64. Go ahead.
And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she lighted off the camel. For she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us?
So she must have liked him, like, oh, man, who is this guy, right? Go ahead.
And the servant had said, it is my master. Therefore, she took a veil and covered herself.
So that's where you get that from in the marriage. You see, this is how the Lord set it up. You cover up first, and then you show yourself, right? So, but you got to pay attention. The contract already has been done with the father that she's going to be his wife. It's already slated. Go ahead.
And the servant told Isaac all things that he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death.
So people look at that and they say, oh, see, that's when he became his wife. No, he had already set it up, and this is the confirmation. You cannot confirm an agreement before an agreement is made. You just can't do it. So when you go and try to do that, you're confirming something there's no agreement made. How you going to do a confirmation? And if you think I'm wrong, let's go to Exodus 22. Let's see. Now, you can do whatever you want to do when you're not trying to be a servant of God. But as becoming saints, let's follow the pattern that the Lord set out. Exodus 22. Exodus 22, and we're going to go to verse 16. Go ahead.
If a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
Whoa! It said if a man entice a maid, so he done talked to her and got her to lay down with him, right? And entice her, it said, and she's not betrothed to anyone, so it's not like he took somebody else's, right? It said, and he lies with her, so they decide, hey, we're going to do this. It got hot and heavy. They decide they're going to sleep together, right? It said, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. So now he got to go and pay an endowment so she could become his wife. But let's see what happens, right? Read the next verse, Brother Vernon.
If her father utterly refused to give her unto him.
Oh, so the father still got a choice then, just like then. The father still got a choice to say, I don't like this guy. He's not worthy of you, right? And utterly refuse her to give her to him. So if he don't give her to him, guess what? She's not his wife. Even though they decided on their own to lay together. You got to see who has to make the decision. Keep going.
He shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins.
Oh, and he still got to pay for her, even though he couldn't get her. That's how it works. That's what saints do. So you can decide what you want to do, or you can decide to do something as becoming saints. Let's go back to Genesis 29 and get another example. So lying together confirms a covenant, but it can't confirm a covenant that's not made first. You got to first have a covenant to confirm a covenant, right? Like Jesus came to confirm the covenant that God made with Abraham. If God had not made a covenant with Abraham, Jesus couldn't confirm anything. So let's go to Genesis 29 and see what happens when sometimes, as we know in this world, things go wrong, right? Everything don't always go according to plan. So we got to talk about things that didn't go according to plan. If you pay attention in this Bible, these are people as well. So things happen among people, and we're going to see that. And so don't think these are the same things that happen among us, right? Genesis 29, we're going to start at verse 1. Go ahead.
Then Jacob went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field.
So let's skip down to verse 10. So we're talking about Jacob. He's sojourning in the land. He done got the blessing, and he's leaving so he could really, his mother was sending him away back to the same Laban, right? That same Laban that was her mother's brother, his mother's brother. Jacob's mother is Rebekah. And she's sending him away to go to Laban to find a wife. So let's skip down to verse 10. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother.
He was just like his mother, wasn't real helpful. Hey, he saw the stone right there. He went and rolled it on the way, right? But he saw Rachel like, oh, okay, keep going.
And Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept.
Now, I've never done that, okay? But he kissed Rachel. Soon as he kissed her, he started crying. So he must have really loved this woman from day one, right? So go ahead, verse 12.
And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father.
And she must have really liked him, too, because so to kiss a dude as soon as you see him, you got to really like him, right? So soon as he saw him, she kissed him, and she run and tell her father, too. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house.
Now, why he didn't cry when Laban kissed him? Right? So you can't say it was because he met his people or something. He really loved this woman, right? Go ahead.
And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. And Laban said unto Jacob, because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall thy wages be?
Okay, so now they coming up with a, hey man, since you my brother, I can't just let you stay here and work for me and get nothing. Tell me what you want for your wages. Go ahead.
And Laban had two daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored.
So I don't know what Leah looked like. We know Rachel looked good. Usually when they say the word but, they usually mean like conversely, Leah probably didn't look so hot. At least not to Jacob, right?
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter.
Okay, hold up. What we just got here? We got an agreement, don't we? Yes. My wages will be your daughter. I will serve you 7 years. I'll pay my dowry up front to get your daughter. I'll serve 7 years for her, right? For Rachel, right? Okay, go ahead.
And Laban said, it is better that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had to her.
So he loved her so much that 7 years was like nothing. And Laban agreed to this, right? But it's always good when you enter into contracts, know what you're getting into. Always know read the fine print. Jacob didn't know the game. He didn't know the game that was played in that country. That's the thing. This is the same element that's going to go throughout this whole lesson. You got to know what the rules are in that country. Keep going.
And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her.
Hold up. She his wife already then, right? According to contract. But I want to go in into her so I could confirm the covenant that I made already. You have to have a covenant first before you confirm it, right? So I want to go into her and confirm the covenant that I made already. Go ahead.
And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast.
Sound like a wedding, don't it? I hate to keep stopping you every scripture, but these points just popping out. Sound like a wedding, don't it? And before everybody, I'm going to make a feast so everybody can see. So you're not doing one thing as a servant of God. Oh, it's between me and God. And then another thing is from man. That doesn't work like that. God doesn't do anything like that. Jesus never did anything like that. It always said what he did before God and man. Keep going.
And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for an handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me? Did I not serve with thee for Rachel?
Didn't our agreement was for Rachel? You had me confirm the covenant with Leah. See, the dowry was already paid, right? We're going to see how this works. Keep going. This is what happens when things go wrong. Go ahead.
Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? And Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn.
This is the rules of the country. It is not done so that you could give the older before the younger. Probably because if you get a younger one first, they might think the elder, she not worth nothing, right? So it's not so done in our country. So you got to abide by the rules of the country. And let's see what Jacob had to do. Go ahead.
Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years.
Now you see that? So he had to count the dowry for Leah so it could be that he confirmed since he confirmed that covenant with Leah. So he had to say, okay, I got to count this first 7 years for Leah. Now you serve me 7 more years, then I'll give you Rachel now, right? Keep going.
And Jacob did so, and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also.
So now he made a contract for Rachel. So we saw how the other guy was the first, Lamech was the first to have 2 wives. Now we're seeing how this thing is starting to propagate with multiple wives. Evidently that is okay in their country. Go ahead.
And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah, his handmaid, to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years.
Keep going.
And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren.
Now check this out. So now Jacob have served another 7 years for Rachel, and but he at the same time, so now he goes into Rachel to be his wife after he served under that and paid the dowry and made the agreement, right? So now we're going to move on with this story because it's not done, and we're going to go to Genesis 30. Genesis 30 and verse 1, right? Remember the book just said it closed up Rachel's womb, right? Go ahead.
And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister and said unto Jacob, give me children, or else I die.
Now, you see that? So you see how it said the Lord closed up a womb. Like I keep saying in a lot of lessons, that God is still in the baby-making business. He the one decides who coming. You're here because God wanted you here. You're not here by accident. I don't care what they say. You're here because God decides who opens up the womb and who doesn't, right? Okay, so now she said, give me some children, else I die. Let's see what Jacob got to say about that. Go ahead.
And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel. And he said, am I in God's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb?
See, Jacob just confirmed it. I'm not the one that's in charge of this. God is in charge of this, right? Go ahead.
And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her.
Oh, now hold it. He said, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her. Read verse 4. Go ahead.
And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife. And Jacob went in unto her.
So who was the contract with them? People say, so how did he get Bilhah? He got Bilhah from Bilhah's owner. If you read, Laban gave Bilhah to Rachel. So therefore, Rachel owned Bilhah, so the contract was with Rachel to take Bilhah to wife, right? He had to make the contract with Rachel. He said, well, why he didn't pay a dowry? You don't pay a dowry for something you already own. What you going to do, say, I'm going to give myself $5? Don't make sense. So, but that's how that went, and he took her to wife. So she is now his wife, right? Let's go to Genesis 16 and 1. We're going to see this that happened before. Genesis 16, and we're going to go to verse 1. See, all this stuff was set up early, before we even was told by God, from God to Moses. It was all set up in the beginning. Let's go to 16 and 1. Let's see it. The same type of thing happened. Let's go. Go ahead.
Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai.
So that's how he got Hagar. The same thing. He made an agreement with his wife, right? and he went in unto Hagar. Go ahead.
And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife.
To be his wife, right? So you can't just sleep around. We're not animals. We got to try to be like God. So he had to make an agreement and confirm the agreement, right? So go ahead.
And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived.
So then he went in. You see the pattern keeps coming up. Then he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. This is how servants of God do it. How other people might do it is a different thing. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm not saying you have to do it like this, but this is what servants of God. Abraham is the father of the faithful, right? So if the father of the faithful is doing it this way, shouldn't you do it this way? Go ahead. But that don't mean you could have more than one wife. We're going to check that out too. Go ahead.
And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
Uh-huh. So what's that, 1 and 4?
Yeah, 1
Let's
and
go
4.
to Genesis 21. Genesis 21, and we're going to start at verse 1. Go ahead.
And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him.
Go ahead.
And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac.
That's right.
And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as God had commanded
So
him.
this is a servant of God, right? He's doing everything God commanded him. And God had already told him you was going to have a son, but Sarai and Abram came up with this idea on how to do this thing. But they should have just waited on God. But when you don't, all these other things happen. Right? So these are things that happen when things go wrong. Sometimes in life, things go wrong. And we're going to see this from the old to the new throughout this whole story. We know in life, people make mistakes and things go wrong. So they made a mistake, something went wrong, and the Lord is helping them fix it, and they going about their life and trying to still do right according to the Lord. Go ahead.
And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, God hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age.
Go ahead.
And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned.
Go ahead.
And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which he had borne unto Abraham, mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac.
Now you see that? So you saw it in the process of time. Isaac was getting all the attention because he was the heir. So he was getting a feast just for being weaned. Right? They made a big feast, and then you saw Ishmael mocking. Ishmael's about 14 years old at this time. He's mocking this little boy that's just being weaned, right? Or older, right? And he's mocking this little boy that's just being weaned from his mother's breast. And Sarah see that and say, this is not going to happen in my house. But you see she is counseling and talking to her husband. She ain't go to Hagar and just say, you're not doing, that didn't happen. She went to her husband and talked to her husband about this, a little bit of the counseling, of marriage counseling. This is how you handle situations with your own husband, not with you and you trying to get into your husband's business. Go ahead.
And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman. And all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice. For in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
Okay, keep going.
And also of the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed.
So Lord got to intervene and kind of still make a nation out of Ishmael because Sarai and Abram came up with this plan. But you're going to see he had to let her go. He said he sent her away, and it say he gave her a bill of divorcement or anything. But he had to send her out of his house, which you see how things can go wrong sometimes. So now the Lord had to let him go and do this for Isaac the heir, so we can have heirs to salvation. That don't mean that this is okay for you to do, to just go and do. This is an extreme situation. It's not for you to just be okay with departing from you, sending your wife away like that. No. Go ahead.
And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and took bread and a bottle of water, and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba.
Okay, so now we're going to deal with, so I didn't see what he gave her a bill of divorcement, right? Because you're going to see Ishmael come back later. So he just had to send her away out of the house, and the Lord told him to go ahead and do it for the sake of the situation, because sometimes situations can get so grievous where other things can happen. And so to prevent that, the Lord said, okay, go ahead and do this. But so we're going to see how to handle divorce, though, since this kind of winked at divorce a little bit, right? Let's see how to handle it. How the Lord say handle divorce. Deuteronomy 24. Deuteronomy 24 and start at verse 1. Go ahead.
When a man hath taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house.
Now you see this? It said when a man had taken a wife and married her. So, and he finds some uncleanness in her, right? And he can give her a bill of divorcement so and send her out of his house. Now, wait a minute now. So if he'd taken the wife and married her, and now he got to get a bill of divorcement to put her away, what does that imply? A certificate of marriage. Somebody got to know you married for you to have to say, hey, I got a bill of divorcement. You see what I'm saying? So it implies that they are married according to that country. Just like how Laban said, we cannot do this it is not so in our country, right? Go ahead.
And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife.
Oh, so that's the reason she got to have a bill of divorcement. Just in case she want to get married again, they could say, oh, I knew you was John's wife. Well, I know I was John's wife. The records probably show somewhere that I was John's wife, or it's known to the whole public because we had a wedding that I was John's wife, but now I'm not John's wife no more. Here's my bill of divorcement, right? That is the point of it, okay? Go ahead. And let's see how legitimate it is, because sometimes we think we throw the whole bill of divorcement in the garbage. Not the whole one. Jesus is going to clarify that. Go ahead.
And if the latter husband hate her, and write her a bill of divorcement, and giveth it in her hand, and sendeth her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife, after that she is defiled. For that is abomination before the Lord, and thou shalt not cause the land to sin, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance.
So now it tells you, this verse 3 here that talks about her being divorced from the latter husband, we're going to see a woman like that Jesus going to talk to, right? So he said if the latter husband hate her, then the first husband cannot take her back. So all this going back and forth, that's got to stop too. You could keep doing it, but you're not a servant of God in doing it. If I'm going back to my old baby mama, or I'm going back to my first wife. If you give her a bill of divorcement and you all were married, hey, you can't go back. So that's why it's important to do this thing right, to do it according to the law. If you had to give her a bill of divorcement, but what was the reason for a bill of divorcement? He said she found no favor in his eyes because he had found some uncleanness in her, right? That was the reason. The Lord don't make no mistakes. Let's go to Numbers, the 5th chapter, and figure this thing out. It said, found some uncleanness in her, right? Let's go figure this out. We walking you through marriage. That's the real marriage counselor. You got to first know what marriage is. Everybody want to know, how I get along. First, you got to find out how to get married. Numbers, the 5th chapter. Go ahead. 14.
And the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be defiled. Or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled.
Go ahead.
Then shall the man bring his wife unto the priest, and he shall bring her offering for her, the 10th part of an ephah of barley meal. He shall pour no oil upon it, nor put frankincense thereon, for it is an offering of jealousy, an offering of memorial, bringing iniquity to remembrance.
So if he be jealous, what makes you jealous? You think your wife done stepped out on you or something. So he got the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he's thinking, I got to figure out about you. Every time I'm gone, I smell something or whatever his little inkling is. He got to go figure it out. So he got to take her to the priest. Go ahead.
And the priest shall bring her near and set her before the Lord. And the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and of the dust that is in the floor of the tabernacle, the priest shall take and put it into the water. And the priest shall set the woman before the Lord and uncover the woman's head and put the offering of memorial in her hands.
So just to point something else out, her head is covered, isn't it? She had to have that shame face, you know, she come before to do something of the Lord and before the priest, so her head is covered, right? Keep going.
Which is the jealousy offering. And the priest shall have in his hand the bitter water that causeth the curse. And the priest shall charge her by an oath, and say unto the woman, if no man have lain with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanness with another, instead of thy husband, be thou free from this bitter water that causeth the curse. But if thou hast gone aside to another instead of thy husband, and if thou be defiled, and some man have lain with thee beside thine husband, then the priest shall charge the woman with an oath of cursing.
Now, wait a minute now. In verse 19, it said, if thou hast not gone aside to what? Uncleanness. That's what he said. The reason you could give a bill of divorcement was for he found no favor in her because she had an uncleanness in her. The uncleanness is she stepped out with another man. That's the only reason you could give her a bill of divorcement. Go ahead.
And the priest shall say unto the woman, the Lord make thee a curse and an oath among thy people, when the Lord doth make thy thigh to rot and thy belly to swell.
So the Lord used to do this for Israel. If you felt your woman was stepping out on you, he would make it where you could figure it out for sure, right? Without her ever, because she ain't probably not going to tell you the truth. So without you ever have to worry about that, he would make a way for you to do it. Go ahead, verse 22.
And this water that causeth the curse shall go into thy bowels, to make thy belly to swell and thy thigh to rot. And the woman shall say, Amen, amen.
Right, so she had to say, I agree, right? So skip to 29, go ahead.
This is the law of jealousies, when a wife goeth aside to another instead of her husband and is defiled.
See that? This is the law of jealousies. When a wife go aside to go aside and deal with someone else outside of her marriage. This is the law that the Lord had. This is the only reason you have the choice to make a bill of divorcement. So let's go to Matthew 19 and let's see this in action. Matthew 19, okay. Go ahead. 19 and 1. Matthew 19 and 1. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that when Jesus had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee and came unto the coast of Judea beyond Jordan. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause?
Oh, now pay attention to the question. It said, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? It didn't say because he found some uncleanness in her, right? No. It said for every cause. So is it lawful to put away your wife for every cause? What does Jesus say?
And he answered and said unto them, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? And he said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh.
I made them together. So you got to leave father and mother. This is what God told Moses to write in Genesis. This is the same Jesus that was with Moses telling him to write this in Genesis, right? For this cause, man shall leave father and mother and cleave to his wife. You guys are one together, right? I made you together. Go ahead.
Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put asunder.
So man can't put asunder. So you don't. It was no point of ever having to put away if everything went right. Right? Go ahead.
They say unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? He saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning, it was not so.
It was not so from the beginning. It was never supposed. She wasn't supposed to be cheating. But if the cheating happened, let's see what Jesus said. Go ahead.
And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication.
Hold up. Whosoever put away his wife, except it be for fornication. So if your wife go outside the marriage, you got a right to do what? Put her away. But it takes what? A bill of divorcement. So, but if you're not legally married and you put your wife step out on you, do you give her a bill of divorcement? Well, then guess what? You're not. I don't know what you are, but I can tell you what you are not, and that's married, right? Because married implies if you're going to put somebody away, it takes a bill of divorcement. Go ahead. We're going to see that.
And shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marrieth her, which is put away, doth commit adultery.
Go ahead.
His disciples say unto him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry.
You see that? The disciples even said, hey, we know stuff happens. Like, man, if only reason I could put her away is due to her stepping out on me, it's better for man not to marry, right? Right? Let's see what Jesus say.
But he said unto them, all men cannot receive the same, save they to whom it is given.
You see that? So Jesus is like, hey, all men can't receive this because they realizing, whoa, we can't just put away just because we arguing and fighting all the time. Oh, man, it's just better not to be married. That's the disciples saying that, right? But Jesus said, hey, it's those who can receive this. The ones that's my servants, they can do this, right? The ones that want to do what they want to do, they can't do this. But the disciples just knew stuff happens in this world. As we just was reading in Genesis, right? Stuff happens. Keep going. Verse 12.
For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which are made eunuchs of men. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it.
So it's sometimes what people, he said it's not good that man be alone, but some people do it because they know they can't handle this thing with another woman. So it's best you decide to be a eunuch then. But if you're going to serve God, but don't go out here just sleeping around and just trying to say, well, I ain't got no commitment, right? Or we married, but we don't want to go do it. Or all this other stuff. That's not serving God. Let's go to John 4. John 4. You there? When you get it, go ahead. 4 and 15.
The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Jesus saith unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband. For thou hast had 5 husbands.
Whoa, so she must have been the ones that had the bill of divorcement, then, or maybe then after that became a widow, then had a bill of divorcement, whatever the case. She either got 5 bill of divorcements or became a widow 5 times or some mixture of the two, right? So he said, you've had 5 husbands, right? Go ahead.
And he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. In that saidst thou truly.
He said, you got, the man you with now, he's not even your husband. Uh-oh. What is that saying? Because y'all shacking, but even though I haven't seen that term in the Bible, because you shacking don't mean you married. The man you got now is not your husband. This comes straight out of the Lord's mouth. So how you going to refute that? Let's go to Proverbs 3. Because, see, if you're trying to shack and say, well, we married in the Lord's eyes, and then in man's eyes, you're not married, let's see if that's working. Let's see if that's becoming of a servant of God. Proverbs 3 and 1. When you get it, go ahead, Vern.
My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to
So
thee.
he said, forget not my law and let my heart keep your commandments, right? So pay attention to that. Keep going.
Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man.
Do what? You find favor and good understanding in who?
Sight of God.
The sight of God and man. So if you're a servant of God, you're doing stuff that's righteous in the sight of God and man. So if you claiming that you married because you just laying together talking about we married in the eyes of the Lord, how you supposed to do it in the sight of God and man? Keep going.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own
So
understanding.
don't lean onto your own understanding. Because you notice about Jesus, everything he did was in the sight of God and man. You notice that? He wasn't one way with the Father, then another way with man. He did everything. Hey, he was an open book. This is how it's supposed to be. I have nothing to hide. That's what you're supposed to be if you're going to serve God. So if you're not going to serve God, I don't know what you want to call. Well, in the Bible, it tells you, it only gives you a few definitions. Either you married, or if you sleeping around and not married, that's either called some other words. So you could go in the Bible and figure those out on your own. Go ahead.
In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil.
You see that? So if you're going to serve God, you acknowledge him and let him direct your paths and be not wise in your own eyes, right? And he said, you fear the Lord and you depart from evil. Where are we?
The end of 7.
Okay, going to Genesis 32. We're going to see something else. Genesis 32, when you get it, 32 and 24, 32 and 24. Go ahead and read.
And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless
So
me.
Jacob was wrestling with this angel. This wasn't no regular man, because the regular man can't touch the hollow of your thigh and get out of a joint. I don't care how much Tai Chi or whatever you take. You can't just do that. So this is some angel that, hey, and so Jacob knew, said, hey, bless me before you go, right? Go ahead.
And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed.
You got power with who, Vern?
God and man.
God and man. So if you're going to call yourself Israel, which is the Lord's name, you got to be like the Lord. You got to do it in front of God and man. You can't just do it and say, oh, it's in front of God. But in man's eyes, you don't have it on any kind of paper, or no one knows. Or you could just put away without any bill of divorcement or anything. Say she stepped out on you, and you decide, well, I'm through with her. Hey, if she married to you, you're supposed to have a bill of divorcement for that. You can't just do that. So if you can't do it in the sight of God and man, then is that truly serving God? Let's go right on to Romans 13. Romans 13:1. When you get it, go ahead.
Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers.
Oh, go ahead.
For there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God.
Okay, so wait a minute. So it said the powers that be, like in the United States, the powers that set up, they're ordained by who? They're ordained by God. He just said the powers that be ordained. The Lord is the one set up and put down kings. So if he set it up and said, hey, this is how we go. Right now you're under the Gentiles, and the Gentiles say, hey, this is the way we do marriage in this country. Guess what? You under that, because that's ordained by God. Go ahead.
And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil.
You see that? So it's for the ones that's doing evil. If you're going to do evil, so let's say some woman, you're not going to obey this rule, and you die, and that woman that you had, because you decided you weren't going to marry her, she got nothing. That's evil. She been with you 20 years, and now she got nothing, right? Where are we?
End of 5.
Go on to verse 9. Go to, let's skip to the common law thing. We're going to have to skip some of this. We're going to go straight to this rule. In the United States, as the Lord say, hey, you got to do this thing, right? Okay. Now, hold on, do me a favor. Read verse 6 real quick.
For this cause, pay ye tribute also, for they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this
now,
very
he said
thing.
pay tribute, right? You know what tribute is called today? Taxes. So if in this country, you pay taxes. Well, if you can't claim this woman on your taxes, guess what you're not? You're not married. Let's read. We got a thing in common law marriage fact sheet from unmarried.org, because people try to say, well, we common law married then, right? Well, let's see what common law marriage say. Go ahead, read the myth about common law marriage.
There is a common misconception that if you live together for a certain length of time, 7 years is what many people believe, you are common law married. This is not true anywhere in the United States.
Anywhere in the United States. Keep going.
Only a few states recognize common law marriages, and each has specific stipulations as to what relationships are included. Read some of the
read some of the
Georgia, if created before 1/1/97.
Georgia before 97. So if you got married before 97, go ahead.
Idaho, if created before 96. Pennsylvania, if created before 05.
So the last one is Pennsylvania, 05. Right? So if you do this tomorrow, you go lay with a woman tomorrow, you ain't married to her, you can't claim common law marriage ever, right?
Right.
All right, read the next part.
If you live in one of these states above and you hold yourself out to be married by telling the community you are married, calling each other husband and wife, using the same last name, filing joint income tax returns.
Filing joint income tax returns. So it takes paying tribute, right? Together. You got to file joint returns because you're supposed to be joined together. Like the Lord said, God made us one. So if you can't do all this, you are not married. I don't know what you are, but you either decide to serve God or you decide to not serve God. I thank you for your time.